live. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Georgie here from the marketing team at Blink. It is a wet, grey London, but it's Wednesday. Happy middle of the weekday. And I hope you're all well. And welcome, welcome, welcome. I've got two fabulous faces joining me today for what should only be, naturally by name, a fun session. And I will introduce my guest speakers very shortly. But as you all join, we've got a little poll today. I would love to know how you're all feeling. Are you great? Are you ready for the weekend? Or are you thinking, oh my gosh, we're only halfway through the week? But I'm pleased to see that 77% of you are feeling great. Good news. It's a good start to what is only going to be a fun session. We're talking engagement. We're talking gamification. We're talking using play in performance in the workplace. So I'm delighted that you're all feeling great and fun. You've got the chat here on the right hand side of your interface in our webinar platform. Please say hello, introduce yourself. It's always tough. We don't get to actually hear from you. So please let me know where you're joining from today. That would be so lovely. So we could all say hello. And as you're joining, let us know in the poll how you're all feeling as well. Right. As we get going. Oh, hello. I can see everyone on the chat now saying hi. We've got Canada. Maggie's excited for the webinar. Oh, great, East Sussex, very on brand. Claire from the West Midlands. Hello from Florida. Kendall, surely the sun is shining in Florida. Give me some hope. From sunny Amsterdam, glorious. Hello, everyone. Oh, thank you so much for joining. It's lovely to see you all today. I am Georgie from the Blink team, and I've got two fabulous guest speakers with me today. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the science of gamification. And I'm really hoping as well, although you won't be playing a game, naturally, please bring your emoji energy, your GIF energy. We want to see some interaction from you all today with Meg and Brock. So as a means of proper introduction before we get going, I've got two faces here. I've got Meg on my left and Brock on my right. I don't know if they're perfectly like that on your system, but they are on mine. So if we could just take the slide down and then we can make Meg and Brock slightly bigger on the screen and we can do proper introductions. And Brock, I'm going to come to you first. Could you say hello? Where on earth are you joining us from? And a little bit about why you're interested in joining this fabulous session today.
Absolutely. Calling in hot from Paris, actually.
Ooh, bonjour.
Exactly. And I'm here representing Livewall. So I'm a product lead there. We do a few things. One of them is working with McDonald's and Blink. And what I do is make sure that with the creativity that we produce, that business objectives are also obtained. So yeah, just looking forward to getting in deeper what goes on behind the scenes and hopefully putting on something entertaining today.
Amazing. Brock, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to your Parisian accent and French language coming through as well. Or did I forget to tell you that?
Yeah, actually Canadian. So if anything, it would be Quebecois. Unfortunately or fortunately.
I apologise, but thank you for correcting me. And Meg, thank you as well for joining us today. Please let everybody know who you are, what you do, and why you're joining us today.
Of course. Hi, everyone. So I'm Meg. I'm based in London, but it actually is a little bit bluer over here than it is with you, Georgie.
So dear. The sun is shining at McDonald's.
As Georgie mentioned, I'm at McDonald's, so I lead digital employee engagement globally. For those who don't know, we've partnered with Blink about a year ago now and have got Blink rolled out in 29 countries worldwide. So 700,000 people across the world now have access via the Blink platform, which is fantastic.
Isn't it? I was just thinking, wow, has it been a year? When's our year anniversary? We should have had some sort of party.
Get that in March. The diary. We'll get that in the diary, yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. You won't be busy by then, right? Super. Well, thank you both so much. I'm genuinely excited. Now, normally our webinars, they're complete carnage. We have a bit of fun and we don't have slides, but because we've got some science to go through with you today and some theory behind gamification, less so just our speakers giving some thought leadership today, we have got slides. So I apologize for that. I've also got a little poll because I would love to know what brings you all here today. Was it because it was Brock and he was going to be speaking in his beautiful Canadian French accent. Was it the McDonald's use case story, or was it that you're exploring? Was it that you're new and you're thinking of dipping your toe in? Let me know what brings you here today. And don't forget, we've got a Q&A box. If you've got an official question to ask our speakers, head on over there, or do obviously put it in the chat, but it might get lost because I'm hoping there's going to be lots of like fun gifs and other great chat going on in there. Super. Right. Now then, Meg, Brock, you know, because I've already told you, but normal Blink webinars don't just crack on with slides. They always start with a bit of forced fun. So don't worry, everybody, we've got some forced fun here. And I'd actually love you all to join in. So, Meg, Brock, I asked you to do a drawing, and I'm thinking old school pen and paper. I wanted no AI, and this was to bring a hand-drawn picture of a game that you love. And why have you chosen that game? And obviously, I've got no idea what you've drawn, so I'll give it a go. But I would also love in the chat for you all to let me know, what is a game? Maybe you've grown up, maybe you're addicted to it in your personal life. Maybe you've got a game in the workplace. What are those games in your life? Personally, I was a big Monopoly gal, but it just didn't bring out the best side of me. So it doesn't feature as much in my life anymore. Amazing. Force fun, Caro, yes. Punishment, I'm here for that term. So, Brock and Meg, have you done your homework?
I can confirm, yes.
Okay, good start. Meg, I'm going to come to you first. What did you draw and why?
Well, Claire is totally on brand because I have gone for Scrabble. If you can see it, can you see that?
Yeah, give us a close up.
I'm trying to get it in the camera. So we've got gamification, we've got fun, we've got engagement, we've got retention. So, and the reason why I've gone for that, Georgie, it's a bit nostalgic, it's a bit old school. I know that, Blink is all around digital employee engagement, but having a nice combination, I think, of in-person engagement and digital engagement is the way to our people's hearts. So it's nostalgic. I quite often will have a glass of wine with my husband, playing a nice game of Scrabble at the end of a week.
Lovely. And I can't imagine how many points gamification would get you on the Scrabble board, but I imagine that's a high scoring word. Amazing. Meg, thank you. Very creative with your drawing as well. Brock, I'm coming to you next. Tell me, what have you drawn for your favorite game and why?
Yeah, so Meg's example is just so much classier than mine. Before I reveal it directly, I'm curious if anybody can guess what I have here. Don't insult my drawing skills either.
No, more abusive the better. What do we think? What do we think Brock has drawn?
And also, the lack of interaction also tells me something about my design skills.
What does the speech bubble saying? I can see boom and something else. What does it say?
Boom and clang. Smash Bros. Exactly. Chris got it.
Chris, nice.
Chris has got my back. So what did I like so much about this? Picture 13, 12-year-old Brock coming home after school with the rest of my buddies. And this is such a nice game to dive into. It's got no storyline, not a lot of skill involved either. So it's actually very approachable and very collaborative. So you can actually build a bit of a scene, an event around this and include people. It's just a low threshold to engagement, which I love.
Lovely. And sometimes you need something when you've had a very busy brain, right, to just completely switch off to.
Exactly.
Thank you. And now I feel like you BFFs with Chris because he guessed it. Nobody else did. But beautiful drawing nonetheless. Thank you. Amazing. Could I ping the slides up again briefly? Backstage direction. There we go. Okay. Officially, hello everyone, and those of us, we've had a few more people join us. Just to let you know, please head on over to the Q&A for our speakers today. But what are we actually going to be covering? And I really hope there's going to be some incredible, no McDonald's pun intended, golden nuggets in today's session that you can take away, big blue sky thinking, as well as some more tangible tactical things as well to help you get started if you're sort of early on your gamification journey in the world of employee engagement. But we're going to get into a bit of the why behind play, so a bit more of the science and the theory there, not just because we think Scrabble and Smash Bros are addictive, so we should build that in the workplace. Learn why this can be so effective as a tactic. We've got a great case study in terms of how Meg and Brock and Blink team all collaborated to build a great story there of how they've used gamification. And then we've got a couple of roundtable hot, spicy questions for our speakers as well. But please do head on to the Q&A because we like a last minute question. I like to throw things at our speakers that they have not prepared for. So please bring the questions. But before we crack on, those of you that don't know Blink, I have seen some familiar names of some Blink customers. So hello, lovely Blink customers. But for those of you that don't know us, I just wanted a proper introduction to me. I'm Georgie. I'm in the marketing team here at Blink. And who are we? Why on earth are we putting on this session? We are a mobile first employee experience platform. And that is all things wrapped into this sort of one digital workplace for your teams, whether they're dispersed, whether they're all desk-based. But you'll learn a little bit more about how, for example, McDonald's have been using Blink to extend that experience into gamification. Okay. That is enough chat about Blink. I promise. And I'm done with the slides for now. Thank you. Amelia, who's backstage driving my slides. Thank you, Amelia. So before we get into it today, I did just want to ask some bigger, more state of the market type things to Brock and Meg. So Brock, I'm going to come to you first. And I know we are going to learn a little bit more about Livewall, but beforehand, and I know you're sort of the sort of product lead there, but I'd love to know bigger picture wise, why or what have you seen in terms of this trend towards gamification over the last maybe 5 years? And what are you actually seeing in the market? Obviously, we're now learning much more about it and it's a much hotter topic. But tell me, what are you seeing? Where has this trend come from? And yeah, your sort of observation, because you are the guru here.
I guess I am, hey? Or at least trying to be. But gamification in the past 5 years has experienced double-digit growth. And just for context, it's forecasted to do the same in the future. What this means practically is that what was traditional use cases with consumers or more playful brands has now been opened to everybody. Also now why we're looking at it with employee engagement, and no sector is safe, basically. So whether you're a McDonald's or you're in banking or in fashion, it all of a sudden is a very relevant conversation now. And what we're seeing, what was originally interesting to use for onboarding, actually, whether it's new features with a new app, or even now when we use employee engagement, eventually in the future, we'll see it more and more used with loyalty, actually. So yeah, hope that gives a bit of an overview.
It does. Thank you, Brock. And I think probably some of those stats are quite shocking to people in terms of the growth. Hopefully not scary, but exciting in terms of us as, either internal comms or engagement leaders being able to weave this into our strategy as well. And Meg, from a more, practical side, I guess, within an organization, where did these internal discussions come from and what made you start getting this on the docket and positioning this in McDonald's as not just a nice to have?
Yeah, great question, Georgie. I mean, as I'm sure a lot of you know, our restaurants are very busy environments and we need to give our teams the information they need in a way that they want to consume it. And for some more traditional employees, this might be via posters or via verbal communication. But we need to be able to have a mixture of different channels to get this communication out to our people, particularly when we're thinking of our Gen Z population, which, as I'm sure a lot of you know, is a large proportion of our restaurant employees. They're likely to consume it via their phone, right? So we've got really high usage rates on Blink across the board. In some of our larger markets, we're sort of hitting 95% of all employees utilizing Blink on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So we use Blink for majority of our communication to our restaurant employees, but we like to look at an array of different mechanisms on the tools to get that information over to our people. So we obviously use the more traditional newsfeed style communication, but we want to make it a little bit more engaging to our people via gamification, which I'll of course touch on later. Also, like what Brock mentioned, there's a lot of trends externally with what McDonald's utilize from a gamification perspective for our consumers. So it's just ensuring that our customers and our employee base have a similar fun experience with the McDonald's brand.
Amazing, Meg, thank you. And I think as well, it really helps that, you know, you yourself have been dedicated to this and with a team. So you're constantly becoming obsessed and thinking about this, which has really helped become obsessed and really champion this internally. But we won't steal your thunder for later because we're going to dive into it a bit more. Super. If those of you have just joined us, hello. I can see some more hellos from Houston, Texas. Hi, Bill. Please head over to the Q&A if you have any questions for our speakers today. And Amelia, who's my backstage help, could I have my slides back when you're ready? Because I've got another poll for you all. Glorious. Okay, and my poll is: how familiar are you with gamification, but specifically using it as a ploy in employee engagement? Are you exploring it? Is this something you've actually already used and you're here to, you know, benchmark and understand what that looks like? Or are you totally new to it? Let me know. Where are you on your journey in the chat? 1, 2, or 3. It would be great to get a vibe of where you're all at. Maybe if you're already using it, you can start to share some best practice with us all. Oh, we've got a poll as well. Double voting, great. Exploring it. Oh, we've got a really split vote. We've got about 41% exploring it. Oh, now we're on 40% exploring it, and 48 totally new to it, and a very small percentage already using it. So quite a big split. Thank you all for getting involved there. It's great to see the split, and hopefully there's really going to be something for all of you today. So I just wanted to touch on, and Brock, I promise I will not steal your thunder with this slide. This is a little teaser. This is a little teaser for when Brock, the guru, speaks. But there's some great little nuggets here on the screen just to really position the sort of neuroscience behind play. And actually, Meg, you touched on some of these as well. But we need to understand exactly who it is we want to engage with. Who is our workforce? Will this work? And we know that people learn, connect, communicate, and engage in much more fun, human ways in their personal lives. And sometimes when you come to work, that experience completely changes. So it's trying to mirror some of those things in your personal life and building those trends into the workplace, whether that's on your digital employee experience platform or something else. Anyway, this is a great slide to take a little screenshot of. There's some great points in here where you can take this back to your business as well. Some of the trends that are emerging and the impact of gamification, specifically around things like retention and employees being more engaged, more productive. But there are some nuggets in here that Brock is going to speak through as well, so I will not steal his thunder. And with that, we're going to get into all things live wall. So Brock, I'm handing over to you. Don't worry, everybody. I'm going to do enough speaking now. So blink, done. Brock, over to you. And thank you very much. If you could just do another quick introduction, because we've had another few people join before you crack on. Over to you.
For sure. So my reintroduction. Hi, I'm Brock, based out of Paris, but Canadian. I'm product lead at LiveWall. And what I'm helping clients do is making sure with the creativity that we produce that the business objectives are achieved. And LiveWall specifically is an award-winning digital engagement agency. There's about 80 of us sprinkled around Europe, although we're mainly based in the Netherlands. But to our clients, we're known as the gamification experts that design interactions that stick. So maybe it's interesting to draw a bit of light to how we got to this point with McDonald's and Blink. And it actually started with McDonald's UK contacting us with some ideas on how to turn the volume up on some of their internal initiatives. And they wanted to bring this experience that we were creating and launch it via this platform called Blink. And voila. Long story short, the partnership was born. So the results of the launch spoke for itself. We both felt a natural fit, and we started working on a more systematic level together. Nice also to see with the poll that not everybody is super advanced in their gamification journey. We had this in mind. So what we're focusing on now are target activations for organizations early in the journey. So specifically one-time activation, which if you're looking for a new product launch, maybe to onboard employees to or new process change, or even some of those always-on onboarding in industries that have a higher natural level of turnover that you always just need to bring people up to speed on. It's really these two that that we're juggling around. Now, getting a little bit deeper, why the hype? Why exactly? And to answer this question, I think we need to actually get more in depth on how we work as humans and how we kind of learn and engage at a deeper level. So of course, I mean, you saw it in the previous slide with Georgie, everybody's talking about it, but we start with dopamine. And this is key in motivation and satisfaction specifically. So by adding very satisfying positive consequences and interactive user control, we can trigger its release. What this means in a very practical example, and I love it because it is so simple. This is something we did with Just Eat Takeaway to actually incentivize careers to get on shift on hot summer days when no careers wanted to get on shift. So by tapping this popsicle more and more, you would take bites out of it and you would get a reward at the end. And very effective in getting people in action. So that's the first pillar, if you will. Second important ingredient is endorphins. So imagine that you're back in school and you're caught in a lesson that's extremely dry, basic, it's too easy, you shut off directly. And what gaming actually allows us to do is to tailor to all of our audiences with dynamic difficulty. So AKA, the more I play something, the more difficult we can make it, the more I will then try to master it, and thus the more endorphins are released. The practical example here is one we did with rituals, actually, where users had to complete an increasingly difficult puzzle to unlock or learn about the key ingredients in their upcoming Sakura launch. And again, yeah, just a very intuitive, kind of nice example. Also about the brand that I was talking to before. It was a nice fit for them.
Meg, is that how you
pillar.
feel playing Scrabble? A rush of endorphins? Naturally, I agree. Scrabble.
I can't blame you. Another important neurotransmitter is serotonin. And this is actually key for sustained engagement. And this is rooted deeply in distinguishing ourselves. And leaderboards and badges are great to facilitate this. I saw in our list before that we had a big football club participant, so I couldn't resist putting this on here. But this is an example of Real Sociedad, who challenges users on key moments in the club's history and culture, and those who engage with the content accurately are able to gain badges and climb leaderboards for prizes. And last but not least, bringing things full circle back to Blink, when your gamified system includes cooperative elements or community features, you're building social bonds that create a much deeper, longer-lasting engagement than just individual awards alone. And this is where Blink comes in just so naturally. We can team up with certain departments or even achieve certain group goals, and Blink's social capabilities create a really positive environment when doing so. And this is not something that we had before, live all just by ourselves. So again, this is what made teaming up just so intuitive. And finally, as a bit of a key takeaway, just with designing with these mechanisms in mind, we actually make our content more human and help our audience learn, grow, and engage in a way that they do naturally. So voila, there you have it.
Ta-da. That is Brock's killer cocktail for how to approach gamification. Brock, thank you so much. And I think as well, Meg, you'll very much touch on this, but rather it being something that's standalone, another initiative, it's how are we making sure that this is baked into the trends, the audience that we already know and engaging with every single day. And I think this is why it's so perfect that we've got Meg here today. And Meg, thank you again so much for joining us. And you've really had to do this at scale with an extremely large workforce, very, very dispersed from you in the head office at London there. So I'm going to hand over to you and you're going to talk us through a bit of a case study, really, in terms of how you tackled this, how you approached it. And there's lots of, I'm not going to say golden nuggets because I've already said that about 500 times today. But there's lots of amazing tips and tricks that you've built into this approach. So I'm going to head over to you to share a bit of a case study. And please do keep the questions coming for our speakers. We will get to them shortly.
Super. Thanks, Georgie. And thanks, Brock. That's a reminder to me why I personally have a passion for gamification. I think it's been a bit of a buzzword across this industry over the last couple of years. And I think it's really exciting that we're actually seeing some of this come to life with both Blink and McDonald's. So just a little bit of background about the partnership that we've got with Blink, and for those who joined a little bit later. So I lead the digital employee engagement team globally at McDonald's. We transitioned from a previous partner, I'm sure we can all guess whom, last year over to the Blink platform. So we've got 29 different countries utilizing Blink, around about 750,000 employees on the platform, and we're expected to reach over 1 million by mid next year. It's a fantastic tool. We're getting incredible feedback from our stakeholders who utilize it. And our Gen Z population particularly have been using a lot of the more traditional native Blink functionality. And one of the reasons why we did go forward with Blink is because of some of this functionality that almost can imitate some gamification to some perspective, be it the polls element or the stories element with the poll features that make it a lot more interactive for our restaurant teams. Obviously, like I mentioned at the start, communicating to our people can't be a one-size-fits-all approach. We need to layer different communication styles to our people and styles that suit them. Obviously, we know a few of our teams may be more used to the sort of lengthy style emails or lengthy style copy that we've seen on previous platforms. But we wanted to think about how our Gen Z population like to consume information in 2025. So obviously gamification's always been something out there, and it's not something that we've tapped into previously. But like Brock mentioned a few months ago, our UK team let me whiz back actually. So our UK team wanted to explore a different way to communicate a new product launch to our people and to our restaurant employees. So they got in contact with Brock directly to work through how they could introduce a game at scale onto the Blink platform. So in June time, we introduced to the UK market a game which was to sort of promote and excite restaurant employees about a new burger launch within the UK. So you can see here, this is the first image on the screen on the left-hand side. And it was quite a simple game, if I may say so, Brock, to excite people about how to build a product in the correct way. This is absolutely not a way for us to replace our more traditional learning systems within McDonald's. It's a way for us to complement and excite crew before a product comes into the restaurant. So that was built within the UK, and this is actually a global product. And a lot of other markets saw this fantastic opportunity and actually wanted to bring it to life in their restaurant teams as well. So since that was introduced in one of our countries in June, we've released it further. So we've gone to Australia, New Zealand, Italy, with exactly the same game. And it's been incredibly successful. And you have to re-quote me if I'm incorrect, but I think it's been played over 600,000 times by 90,000 individual users across those markets in only a matter of months. We've also seen and heard feedback that as a result, there has been less teething issues with this product in the restaurants. So less issues with the product having sort of accuracy complaints and whatnot. So we really think that is down to the of this game. As a result of that, we had so much positive feedback from our stakeholders that we explored with Brock and the LiveWall team whether we can create a game centrally, which could potentially be launched to all of our countries, about a new initiative that was being rolled out in our restaurants. Once again, not a replacement, but just a complementary communication tool to engage our people on a new procedure behind the restaurant walls. So that's in progress now. I believe our first country, Australia, is going live with that game in a matter of weeks, and then we'll hit more markets as the year goes on. The third game you'll see here is another little market specific one. So that's just a sort of fun game around condiments and making sure that individuals have the right condiments. But what's worked really well with all of these games is we link it directly into Blink. So it's single sign on, really, really easy for our people to access. And then equally, it's really easy for our people from a corporate level to communicate the tool, to market the tool on the platform being Blink itself and directing them through to the live wall game. There's also some fantastic leaderboards, and we will no doubt talk about leaderboards shortly, but that really excites our people. It's a bit of a competitive spirit. You can see who else is playing, who else is winning, and it really excites our people in the restaurants as well.
Meg, I have got a quick question in terms of like goal setting and how you approach this, because obviously you've got 3 great games here. You know, I'm sure people were just expecting to see one, but how did you start scoping this? Did you go with a particular goal, or did you just start exploring that we need to gamify and complement other initiatives? And then was it more exploratory rather than I have this mission or I have this goal? How did you sort of approach this in the first place?
Yeah, it was more that we were communicating the potential with gamification. So outside of the UK example, they built that themselves. They worked directly with Livewall. But that middle global example, we'd been shouting about gamification for quite a while within our team. We speak about it. We say that there's so many opportunities there, but it's just trying to find the right game that is not only fun to play, but it has a meaning behind it, right? Like we want there to be a purpose why people are playing these games. So it was key that we just spoke to the relevant stakeholders across the business to say, actually, gamification is really hot on the agenda for employee engagement at the moment. Is there anything we can do in that space for any of your initiatives next year? So it was almost soft launching the approach with our departments in the hope that actually something triggers and goes, yes, we could do it for this. So that's kind of how it came about. We have historically used gamification for more recognition within McDonald's over the prior years, but less so for engagement. So recognition around individuals, just sort of classic advent calendar style recognition for busy periods of the year, or linking it to some of our external promotions to thank people and provide them prizes. But this is definitely a new use case of actually a bit of education, a bit of fun, and a bit of that addictive game nature that makes you feel excited to come to work.
Definitely. And what do you think, to what extent do you think the like generational makeup of all of your crew members really helped get this on the docket? Because I can imagine there's lots of different industries joining us today that might not have a super heavy Gen Z or sort of Alpha. Is it Gen Alpha? Gen Alpha? Yeah, we think it's Gen Alpha. Yeah. Sort of workforce makeup, because I do feel that's probably really helped you and your team push this as an initiative. Is that fair to say?
Is, but I don't know whether there's stats behind this, but I'm pretty sure games aren't necessarily just Gen Z, right? I'm thinking you've probably got 45-year-old mother on the sofa playing whatever game it is on her phone, be it Candy Crush or whatnot. So although, you know, we talk about Gen Z, I do think gamification is absolutely something that hits all audiences, particularly in our industry.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really fair point as well. I think sometimes we default to think anything fun and more social led is for a younger generation, when actually built the right way, and if we really know that workforce, then, you know, it can be magic.
Totally. And I can see Claire's just asked a question around what engagement means in this context. And I'm thinking of it as engage with the brand, right? Like connected to McDonald's, engage with the content that we're pushing out, with what's going on in restaurants. And that's how I figure that engagement piece when we're talking in this context.
Definitely. Thanks for clarifying that, Meg, as well. I was going to ask as well around more characteristics generally, and I know that we've got a question here generally about sort of maybe more broader retail examples. But do you think there are characteristics in your industry that's lent itself really well to gamification?
I think what works well for us, we're a very fun brand, right? I think everyone can say that. You go into our restaurants, it's got a fun atmosphere. Our marketing is always a little bit fun. It's a bit cheeky. It makes it's that feel good factor. And I think it's only fair that we do something similar to Crew as well, right? So everything on our Blink platform for our restaurant teams has got a similar look and feel. It's fun, it's stories, it's emojis, it's gifts, it's prizes and excitement, it's sneak peeks. So I think that layer on with gamification just really helps with our sort of brand narrative, our internal brand narrative.
Really lovely. And I think, there'll definitely be similarities into the retail sector as well. And actually, Meg, you shared a nice example in terms of you being able to apply gamification, maybe at busy periods, especially around recognition. And we know, the holiday period is absolutely insane in the retail industry as well. So that's probably quite a nice example.
Totally.
Super. My next question, I'm sure you've got some more to say, but I have another question that I'm going to dive in with if you don't mind. But how did these games, and maybe you've got one more than the other in terms of an example, actually help drive a bit of a culture shift or maybe behavior in certain restaurants? Have you got some examples of some changes in behavior that you've seen as a result of these?
Yeah, sure. I think we are a little bit further removed from this being more of a global team as opposed to a market team. But feedback's been really strong, like I mentioned, and the product knowledge appears higher in the sense of we have received less issues with those products that have been launched in market. I think we also just need to reiterate, this is super new, right, Georgie? The first game is the only game that's come out so far. We've had really positive feedback. The second is coming. So the usage of the game makes us obviously think that it's working, right? So I think it's 6.5 plays per user on average, which is really, really strong. I also can see that there was a question from someone around keeping it relevant as well, which I think is kind of linked to this conversation.
Yeah, people encourage people using it over time.
Yeah. And these examples here are all linked to initiatives. And like how Brock was saying, you've obviously got the games that you bring in for initiatives, or you've got the always on games. So these are very directed at specific initiatives. We'll introduce the game a few weeks before these initiatives go live in the restaurants. And that's just to encourage understanding, excitement. It's just a different layer of that communication that we're sharing out to our restaurants. We haven't explored yet the always on games. And I know, Brock, we've had conversations what that could look like at McDonald's, but we're also very keen not to do sort of death by gamification, right? We need to be strategic with the game. Yeah. We don't want hundreds of games out at one time. We want to be strategic with aligning what games are shared at what point in time and what are relevant to the business. So we're still on a journey, right? It's still an early part of our journey, but so far it is looking great. And to be honest, I think this is going to be a bit of an expectation for the younger generation in years to come. Like, it's going to be expected that this is how they engage and learn from the companies.
And I also think it's important to highlight the point you made around, like, this is complementing other initiatives. So it's not like you've launched it and it's like, we've got a game now, we don't need anything else. And I think that's key for all of you that's joining us in terms of like engagement professionals, internal communicators. It's not a one size fits all approach, especially when you've got a large dispersed workforce. So really interesting to see how you've complemented it, whether that's at certain points in the journey or alongside other initiatives. And yeah, looking forward to keeping an eye on how it goes over the next couple of months as well. Super, Meg, thank you very much. Could I have the slides down now? Hopefully everyone's seen the amazing games that McDonald's have come up with. And great, back in the studio, just us, glorious. Right, everybody who's here, thanks for joining in. Now we've got some more hot, spicy questions. They're not that spicy, don't worry, everyone, for our speakers. But also, please do head on over to the Q&A if you've got any other questions that I haven't officially got on the iPad. We will get to those as well for Meg and Brock. So, my first question, Meg, I'm going to come to you, is what separates meaningful gamification from gimmicks?
Of course. Great question. So first of all, I think what we found is, and what I think works well, is that combination of fun with an important message, right? We don't want to be just having truly fun games, because what's the point of it? What's the purpose with it? How does it align with the strategic initiatives across the business? So I think it's certainly key for gamification to have a sort of mixed approach. But equally, gimmicks can sometimes sound a little bit negative, but it isn't necessarily a negative point, right? Gimmicks work when gimmicks work. Sometimes we just need to have a bit of fun. Work can be tough, work can be hard for our people. It's busy at busy times of year in the restaurants. So how can we use gamification just to recognize as well? Be that, like I mentioned earlier, a Monopoly style competition to align with the external competition, or advent calendars to create excitement and to say thank you to people at busy times of the year. So I think there is that separation, but I just think actually it can be a gimmick, and sometimes we know gimmicks can work as well.
Yeah, good point. I think it's probably difficult though, isn't it, to get that through as a engagement team as well, to say like, this is important, we do need to have fun again at work. And so I think, like you said, it's maybe part of a more of a spectrum of gamification and deciding when to use those and when. But good point in terms of the word gimmick not necessarily always being a bad thing. And Brock, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, for me, it comes down to brand, actually. We have this theory called brand stretch. And for example, with McDonald's, they're a certain brand and there's certain gamification that works well for them. But if you want to apply those same games or mechanisms to rituals, for example, a beauty brand, it's just not going to work. And then it's going to feel very gimmicky. So actually, each brand has a unique way of expressing their gamification. And the more in line it is with the brand, the more natural it feels, the less of a gimmick it actually feels. So I think that's a bit of the magic, is people get a bit of a negative connotation with gamification. And I think the trick there is finding the right way to express it.
Really nice. And you're so right. I remember sitting next to somebody at a dinner from Disney, and I was like, is it as magical internally as it is externally? And as the comms team was like, yes, this is so important. You can imagine it feeling much more magical if they applied this and using their characters, whereas that wouldn't apply if you were a bank or maybe a professional services institute. So no, really good points. Thank you. Meg, a question for you, and this is really about scale. I know we've got lots of different types of organizations on today, so hopefully this is still a relevant question. It's a colossal sized organization, so how on earth did you approach this at the scale that you were looking at, and did you have certain guardrails that you wanted to put in place?
Yeah, of course. So we're really fortunate to start with that it was the UK team who actually saw the problem, challenged that problem, and found the LiveWall team. But then moving forward, we're looking at global initiatives, that problems that we need to solve for everyone rather than one nuanced country on its own. So we definitely looked at the broader direction that the business was going in. But then equally, when we were partnering with Brock and the LiveWall team, there's just simplified elements that we need to think about, right? Can this be translatable? Can the wording be translatable? Is everything aligned across the countries? And then equally, is there any cultural nuances? And I think, we all think about that anyway in a global style role, but can this game be applicable to multiple different elements? We also use a single sign-on, so it's technically, and I'm not a tech person, but it's technically easy for that integration with Livewall and Blink and McDonald's as well. So really easy for us to roll out at scale.
You're exactly the same as me. You're like, this is easy, right? Coming from a non-technical person, and all the technical people going, what are you saying? No, but true. And thank you for clarifying that. And Brock, I don't know if you've got anything to add from our Livewall perspective in terms of the technicality and some of the guardrails and at scale.
I think, I'll be brief on this one, but when you're designing for McDonald's or any company, you want it to be, again, going back, on brand as possible. So we actually had live pictures of the restaurants, an incredible amount of brand assets brought to us to make it as realistic as possible so the employees really see themselves and project themselves in the experience. What then comes with that also is you have to be aware culturally that everybody can see themselves in the environment that you're recreating. So you don't want to alienate anybody. So that was something that we had to have a very close lens on. And the other thing, when you do want to scale, it has to be fun and engaging. So we had a list of business wishes that we wanted to do, but then the way that we grabbed consensus was, are we adding value, delight to the user in some sort of way? And if we couldn't answer that honestly, we would kill it and go for a positive user experience in the end.
Mate, back to your killer cocktail of endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, don't go to me, oxytocin. There we go.
That's it.
Amazing. Okay, I would love to know, this is a question to both of you. If someone leaves this session and tries one thing this week to improve their employee experience through play, what should it be? Brock, coming to you first.
Yeah, something mega practical. I think Meg and I in the pre-chat to this, we had the same thing actually. But to do a poll to your workforce, but then with a reward. That way you get the dopamine in there. But it's very simple, right? You have that interaction and that anticipation that kind of triggers dopamine. And so that's the lowest hanging fruit to get into to gamification, if we can already think about it in that way.
Amazing.
And I think overlaying that as well, what we quite often try and do at McDonald's is to imitate some of those external trends that we're seeing on social media. You know, at the moment, I don't know whether anyone else's Instagram is full of 12 days of Christmas, tag this person to win whatever competition. They're everywhere for my Instagram feed at the moment.
You're busy tagging all your friends, Meg, to win all the hampers.
Yeah. So something like that, which imitates what our people see and interact with in their day-to-day life on their personal social channels, trying to bring that in to a work channel is a really great way to engage and add a little bit of gamification just to test it out.
Yeah.
And I bet your stats, your engagement rates on that post are going to be a heck of a lot higher than other posts on the platform. So just trying some bits and pieces out like that are really key.
Amazing. Thank you both. And I would love to know, have you, I'm sure you both have some myths that were either thrown on your desk, you know, from colleagues or stakeholders during this process, or maybe another, but do you have any myths about gamification that we can bust live here on today's session? Meg, coming to you first. What myth should we bust?
Time wasting. Everyone's going to say that, right? People are wasting time just playing games and not doing what they should be doing. And I guess for us, it's a little bit different because we're deskless workers, but potentially desk workers, people may be thinking that. But I think, you know, we need to reiterate some of the stats that Brock shared at the start and what you shared as well, Georgie. It's creating brand affinity. It's fun. It's reiterating important messages. There's a retention element of it. There's the connection piece of it. And when you start overlaying some of these bits and pieces, absolutely not a time waster, something that really complements your employee strategy overall.
Thank you. So Meg's myth was time wasting. Brock, how about you? What myth are we busting?
Yeah, I kind of hammered on the one earlier of, it doesn't work for my brand, doesn't work for my use case, where my thought is actually, no.
Yeah.
When there's a will, there's a way when it comes to gamification. But I think also sometimes I get, Brock, don't you think it's unfair gamification to use these kind of like mechanics and to think about it in this way? And I'd say there's some truth to that in certain use cases, but ultimately what gamification is human-centered design. And so that's what we see that we're really tapping into, is building experiences in a way that we actually enjoy to engage in. So yeah, that's kind of the reputation I'd like to twist.
Amazing. And I feel anybody should challenge Brock to that, because I just feel your energy is bring me that challenge accepted. Bring me a brand you don't think I could apply gamification to. Brock has got your back. Okay, last question is, be honest, both of you, and I would love everybody in the chat to contribute to this. Be honest. Are employees more competitive than we think?
Yes.
I've got some serious nods in the room here as well.
Honestly,
Yeah.
if we could compete against anything, we would here at McDonald's. And I'm sure a lot of other companies absolutely are the same, in a fun way, of course.
Obviously. Amazing. I mean, I think I'm quite a competitive person. We launched something here recently and I was like, oh, not really going to get involved. And I tell you, the aggression that came out of this person to be like, I'm getting on that leaderboard, was wild. I won't tell the story because, it's intense from my perspective. I've got a little poll here as well, because I'd love you all to contribute. Where do you all see the biggest potential for gamification in your organisation? You've heard a great case study from Meg today. Brock's given us some more examples as well as more of the science behind it. But what do you think? Are you going away and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to apply this to keeping people engaged, or how I recognise people, or culturally building? What are you thinking is your biggest potential?
You need a 6 box, all of the above, right?
Oh my gosh. Sorry, everyone. If it's all of the above, let us know in the chat. Meg, you're right. And a nice addition as well from Bill, thank you, around frontline engagement. Absolutely. Super duper. Thanks for engaging with the poll. So on this note, and I thank you both so much. I feel like the questions weren't too spicy. And I have got a few other ones from the audience. But before we do that, I just want to bring up another slide, because there is some official fun happening at Blink HQ, which I just got to share today. Where's my slide? Here we go. Nothing is complete without a giant fluffy Blinky, our official brand mascot, who's sitting on a pile of fluffy shapes. Why is this? This is because I want to introduce exclusively, we're not actually announcing this till tomorrow, but hey, we're on a webinar. You can tell. We have built a lovely game with LiveWall, our partner, who's obviously helped with our customers as well, called Blink Bonanza. And hey, we have lent far into the addictive bit of fun. Let's see how this goes down internally. And please connect with me on LinkedIn, because I've got some hilarious stories to share with you in terms of the leaderboard, the competitive nature, and how we've just started to test a very, very basic sort of game within Blink, absolutely going wild in terms of people all over the globe connecting, us getting very competitive, and just having a bit of fun at work. So we have actually got my team are going to post in the chat the link for you all to give it a play. I would love for you to give it a go, and please let me know how you get on. So the top score at Blink was 1.4 million, which is insane. I played a bit and I was like, yeah, cool. And then I thought, no, I need a top 10 position here. And top 10, I didn't even burst a million, but there was great internal debate around this. But I just wanted to share that we've got this fabulous game now available within Blink, but there is a link there for you all to give it a go. And I want you to play, obviously let me know what your score is naturally, but I want you to think how you're feeling when you're playing that game. Does it spark joy? Does it spark a bit of fun? And that reaction feeling that maybe this is an approach that we need to bring to work. And lean into maybe some of the examples that we've had shared here today, but thinking about how you can grab attention, especially with those different types of workforces you have. Amazing. So yeah, please let me know scores. Like I said, we're over 1 million at Blink. Not that we're competitive whatsoever, but we absolutely are. And the music itself is highly addictive. So there you go. Give it a play and let us know how you get on. Well, I'm just going to dive over now to the Q&A. Thank you very much. We've tried to keep an eye on the chat as you've been asking some questions, but in the official box, we've got some we've got some lovely questions here, so I'm going to dive over to those. So firstly, Diego. Hello, Diego. Thank you for joining and for your question. Is asking, Brock, I'm going to come to you. What are the key factors that cause gamification strategies to fail or fail short of expectations? Great question, Diego. Thank you.
Very true. So I think there's two things. One, if you make it too complicated. So if you try to do too much and the message isn't received, it has to be very seamless in the way users go through the experience. So don't bite off more than you can chew with whatever it is you want to tackle. Experiment small and then do incremental experience on top of that. The other one is distribution. Don't think just because you build something that people will come. This is the number one thing that we tell with Meg and McDonald's, is that your marketing team also has to very much be on board and get it in front of your audience as well. So if you have those two things taken care of, you're going to be in good shape.
Amazing. Brock, thank you. Meg, anything to add on top of that in terms of failing or failing short of expectation?
No, just to reiterate that last point, right? How we market this, primarily using Blink or within the restaurants, is really key to get people on board, and simplification is always key, right? We know those simple games that we play in life are the ones that are a little bit more addictive, be it Scrabble or Candy Crush, etc. So simplification as well.
And maybe I'm showing my age, but was anybody else highly addicted to the game Snake on their first Nokia mobile phone? Because my goodness, if we could have built that, I would have had a bit of that game in my life again. But you're right, and thank you. Less is absolutely more, and you're right, Brock, not trying to overcomplicate things are absolutely key. So another question I've got here, and I think this has popped up a few times actually. This is from Bryce. Thank you, Bryce, for your question. What are some key reporting metrics that you look at for engagement health with gamification? Is it drop-off points, click-in rates, etc.? Meg, I'm going to come to you first from your experience, and then Brock maybe from more of a sort of best practice perspective. Meg, to you first.
Do you know what? I hate to do this, but Brock, do you mind going first? Because I feel like this is very much a gamification specialist type question.
For sure. So I think a blanket application that we use is one, what is user penetration? So of the percentage of the workforce that we have, how many people were we managed to reach? This is usually something where, how did marketing do its job? Then you have the number of replays. So I see another question is, how do you make sure people aren't just gaming for prizes? That's actually a little bit the point of gamification, is that we're actually baking in our message into the game itself. So we want people to replay, to get that subconscious message. So we're actually trying to pump up replays so that people live and change that attitude and it resonates with them. And the other one is time actually spent with the game. That's also what's nice about gamification rather than a quick message, is that I'll maybe see a quick 5 seconds and I forget about it, whereas people can spend 1-2 minutes in gamification. So we just want to make sure that, is our message getting out there, number of people, is it resonating, replays, and amount of time. And then we can correlate that to the end-of-line business transformation that we're trying to see. Did it correlate with the change we saw?
And to add to that sorry, Georgie, just to add to that prize piece, I think there's a little bit of a, obviously there's benefits, like Brock said, to having those prizes, but it's not something that we always do with McDonald's. We are a competitive business, so as we mentioned, so sometimes it's more the taking part, or if we do offer prizes, it's low value pieces of merchandise that are a little bit of fun rather than a big bang.
Yeah, good point. Not always the luxury Christmas hamper, eh? Still hoping. Amazing. We're running out of time, so I'm going to cut off the Q&A, but we've got them all documented and I will do my best to follow up. But thank you so much, everybody, for your questions. And I've got one last bit of forced fun for the team. But before I leave, I wrote down my 3 nuggets from today's session. I've got to stop saying nuggets. Can you tell what my McDonald's order is? My key 3 things, we love 3 things at Blink, is gamification isn't fluff. There is genuine neuroscience and science. We've got, Brock's killer cocktail behind here to prove this. Playing can genuinely help build connection, motivate people, and we know that we can get results here from an engagement perspective. And I think you can see firsthand, even though they're early on their journey, that McDonald's have used this to do in a fun way to drive great frontline engagement and activation. So they're my 3 nuggets. I hope the speaking, Brock and Meg are nodding, so I'm glad you agree with my 3 nuggets. And my last forced fun was that Blink build a playlist throughout the year. And actually, I would love everybody to let me know what you think. The playlist is an internal comms survival playlist, because a lot of the time these teams are highly strung, stretched individuals, low resource, not a huge amount of budget, and music we know gets us through the day and our lives. So what song would you like to submit to the playlist? Likewise, everybody let me know. Do you have a song that we could add to the playlist? What gives you life, keeps you going? Brock, you did a teaser earlier. You're like, I'm not going to tell you beforehand. So what is it?
Classic muted. I put it in the chat. Going Canadian on this one. Bryan Adams, Can't Stop This Thing We Started. Right?
Oh, I thought you were going to break into song, man. What a tease.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not that good, though. That's mine.
Amazing. And Meg, how about you?
I can't top that, unfortunately, Georgie. So Brock's just going to have to win this one, and I will take it away. I'll take it away and have a little bit of a think about it, so I can make sure I can
truly deliver on the playlist. Great. Well, we'll put that in the follow-up notes then, Meg's track of choice, along with our questions that were unanswered. Thank you, everybody, so much for your time today and joining us. I've had a great time, but it's not about me. Meg, thank you so much for joining us. And Brock, our partner at Livewall, thank you again so much. Have a lovely rest of your week, everybody. You know where we are. Join blink.com/events if you want to join us again live or in person. And take care, and hopefully see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.